BQuanchi here, and today I want to talk about a video game series that I have mixed feelings for, Five Nights at Freddy's. Specifically, I want to talk about possibly one of the most divisive titles in the series, FNAF World. With all its criticisms and shortcomings, I've wanted to explore the idea that this could have been an amazing game. Before I go on, I wanted to mention one of the best ways to support me and the channel is to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out the description below for links. As I said before, I do have mixed feelings for the Five Nights at Freddy's series, mostly because I don't play the games. While I do appreciate the characters' designs, even some aspects of the gameplay and lore, honestly it's because I'm a big man baby who doesn't like jump scares. As embarrassing as it is to say out loud, whenever I tried watching a Let's Play channel play FNAF, I would often remove my headphones and look away in anticipation of a jump scare. I will admit that this formula of fear and anxiety of a jump scare in a game over scream definitely contributed to the success and popularity of the FNAF series. It just wasn't a game that I could personally enjoy. However, with FNAF World being completely different and more of a game that I would actually enjoy, I felt it was more approachable for me to play. With the timeline of the series, when it comes to releases, FNAF World was released in January 2016 after FNAF 4. Although there are many things that did contribute to the negative reception of FNAF World, one thing I feel that's worth noting is that when FNAF 4 was released, its description stated that it was the final chapter of the original story. I can only speculate, but thinking that it is possible that fans were too focused on the word final, such as final entry, that it caused a lot of uncertainty for the future of the series. On top of that, with more details of FNAF World coming out, it seemed many fans were critical of the look and direction of the new title, or possibly the series as a whole. And speaking of the game's direction, if it wasn't clear with the visuals in this video so far, FNAF World's gameplay was dramatically different compared to previous FNAF games. From being an anxiety-inducing survival horror jumpscare game to a retro-style RPG that is arguably more upbeat. To be honest, I got really excited for FNAF World since I'm more of a fan of RPGs, and this would definitely be more to my taste compared to a mascot horror game full of jump scares. I'm sure others felt the same way too, and it made playing a FNAF game more accessible to those who have different tastes and preferences when it comes to playing video games. Also, I really enjoy when a game series does a spin-off that completely changes up their formula, or even becomes a completely different genre. Maybe it's me making assumptions, but I sometimes get the vibe that whenever a franchise or series does something different, even risky, fans will come to the conclusion that being different means being bad. Also, it didn't help that one of the biggest Let's Players on YouTube, Markiplier, opted not to play FNAF World, at least not on his YouTube channel. I'm not sure if this impacted the reception of the game, but I do feel that it's worth noting that one of the biggest YouTubers who helped propel the Five Nights at Freddy's series into popularity didn't seem to support it. When researching the initial reception of FNAF World, it was a little tough to exactly pinpoint how well this game was actually received. I have read that on Steam, it had an 87% rating. However, many reviews had negative comments that mostly criticized the game being rushed, unfinished, and unstable. Due to the backlash, it was eventually delisted from Steam and refunds were provided. There was also a version released for Android devices, which was later removed. And it was also confirmed that an iOS version was not happening. The game was updated and published on the website GameJolt, which is available for free. I was still able to play the Steam version of it, which was also Update 2 and the final update of the game. Now it's time to talk about my experience with the game and what I enjoyed and disliked about FNAF World. And to be honest, I never actually beat the game myself. I really love the idea of doing a RPG-style spin-off, and this title does a lot of things right to pay homage to the genre. With the gameplay, there's a simple overworld map, exploration, party members, random battles, and leveling up. I would have to say some of the biggest positives are the game's visuals, especially with the character and enemy designs, and also the game's music. Also, one thing that's worth noting is that the character designs of the animatronics are a little bit more on the cute side, which I did enjoy myself, but not sure if it was off-putting for longer fans of the franchise. There's also a good variety of different characters and areas in the game. I personally feel that a lot of love and work have been put into this game, and not sure if everyone appreciated it. As you play through the game, you can encounter other Five Nights at Freddy's animatronics in battle, which you can recruit upon beating. Altogether, there are 40 characters available, and it's fun to mix and match them to assemble your party. It is worth noting that you have two sets of 4-member parties, which you can easily swap between them. Each character has 3 moves to use, almost like a job class with some dealing damage, healing, or support buffs, and also leveling up just increases stats. It seems like the later characters that you recruit do have better stats and moves, so it is more beneficial to always swap in new characters. There's also upgrades that you can buy or find, which are called bites and chips, that help out in battle. I will admit that with how simple the battles can be, the different add-ons, and with having two swappable parties, FNAF World can be a bit more of a casual or easy experience when it comes to RPGs, but still has some depth to it. With the world of FNAF World, it can be a bit barren, with the exception of a few NPCs that sell you upgrades, or Golden Freddy providing some story and guidance. While this can make the game feel a little bit empty, but I also feel that's true with a lot of older RPG titles. One thing about the exploration of the game is that there's these hidden paths, even glitches, used to traverse your way through the world, so it adds an element to help make it more unique and not so straightforward. So while I do have a good amount of praise for FNAF World, I definitely have a good amount of complaints. One of my biggest complaints of the game is the frequent, for lack of a better word, load screens. Whenever you exit a shop, check or adjust party members, or change up your bytes or chips, there's a load screen showing a random animatronic with a little flavor text. What makes this even more annoying is that with random battles, those pop in and out with any load times, so with going through these menus, it seems unnecessary to have these load screens at all. I can get that he's made add a fun preview for future party members that you'll eventually recruit, but it does get old fast and becomes a constant annoyance. I can appreciate the work that was put into these descriptions and such for each character, but I'd rather have a menu with a gallery or whatever, rather than having them constantly pop in load screens that shouldn't even exist. Also, with the game's menus and interface, I feel that they're very lacking in regards to your party members and your inventory of upgrades. With the moves or abilities of your party members, you can only see a description of what it does while in a random battle. Although random battles aren't too frantic, and it's not too hard to get used to the different abilities, it would be nice to have a menu to view what each one does when planning out a party. With the different upgrades you can buy and change up, strangely enough for chips, the menu describes what they do, but it doesn't for the bytes. The only way in-game it seems to check what the byte does is to go back to the original NPC that sold it to you. Although with the designs of the bytes, and that most of them are simple with just stronger versions, it's not too hard to keep track of what they do. It would be nice if they had descriptions in the menu. So, a lot of my major complaints have to do with these minor quality of life issues that could have easily been fixed in the game. With having personal experiences with much older RPG games, I felt even those did a better job with menus to check party members, inventory, etc. And even though it's small things to gripe about, I feel like better conveyance would have made a big difference with my experience playing FNAF World. As I mentioned before, there are secret glitches and even secret pathways you can find, and at times you need to find them to progress through the game. Although the glitches can be spotted, I had times where I just couldn't find where to go and just gave up. Maybe I was just being dumb and impatient, which can definitely be true, but I wish there was more conveyance, especially if something like this can impede progress. In my last moments of playing FNAF World, I kept feeling really frustrated with checking so many walls for a secret pathway or glitch so I could continue playing through the game, but just not finding the way to go. Also, the constant battles didn't help with my frustration either. It's a shame that this led me to give up on the game. Although there's online guides, videos, and walkthrough, it just killed my motivation to keep playing. From what I understand, FNAF World has many secrets and multiple endings, and I wish the playthrough for the normal ending was a little bit more straightforward, since at times it didn't really provide much guidance of where to go. With it having a more barren or empty world map, such as a lack of NPCs and towns like other RPGs do, it would be nice to have a more clear path. Although it can be argued that there's also the fun of exploring and figuring things out for yourself, and finding these secrets on your own. While I was playing this game on stream, I was fortunate enough for someone in the chat to let me know of this secret Halloween area, which includes some fun minigames. These include a parody of .exe creepypastas, or a Super Metroid-like game. It's a shame that many may not experience these fun bits, either by being turned off by the game itself, or being too frustrated with it, but there's always the power of the internet to guide you. I will admit, I could have easily revisited FNAF World with enough research to play my way through the end, which I probably will eventually, but I thought it may be an interesting perspective coming from someone who just gave up on the game out of frustration. So, my whole point of this video and commentary is to come to the conclusion if FNAF World could have been an amazing game, and I wholeheartedly believe that it could have been. I love the idea of doing a spin-off in a very unique way, especially if it creates something that more appeals to me compared to the mainline series. I think it does a lot of things right with being more than just a bare-bones RPG, and does have great music and visuals. There's a lot of things I love about the game, but there's also a lot of things that brought it down for me. Especially with quality of life issues, such as lack of menus, unnecessary load screens, and poor convenience, whether that be with checking characters or inventory, or figuring out where to go. I just feel that this game has so many frustrations that could have been avoided with slightly better game design choices. I don't expect my games to be so straightforward and a breeze to play through, but a progression can be halted to a stop. It just becomes a point that I'd rather just give up. I'm not entirely sure how well FNAF World was received, even in a retrospective way, but it does seem like there was a good amount of love for it, as well as negative criticism. How the game was released could have contributed to its reception, such as being a time where the future of the Five Nights at Freddy's series wasn't clear, and in mysterious ways they tend to drop breadcrumbs regarding the next game. Looking at the history of it getting removed, refunds given, made available for free, and no plans to update it, it's a real shame that the game's creator just abandoned it rather than making it better. I feel like it really shows a lack of conviction that someone would rather sweep the game under the rug instead of standing by it and making improvements. I personally enjoy it when a franchise takes a risk with a spin off that's much different than the main title game. Some notable examples of this working incredibly well is with Super Mario RPG or Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, even if a spin off is more of a novelty, like a kart racer or a puzzle game. There have been many times that we got really great games that are from a big franchise but differ from the main series formula. I would love to see Five Nights at Freddy's make it another attempt at an RPG. I would love to see a FNAF fighting game. I would even love to see a kart racer, or puzzle game, or party game based on the franchise. I hope that the reception of FNAF World doesn't discourage the possibility of unique spin offs or taking risks in the future, especially if it can lead to games that appeal to a variety of audiences that like the franchise, but are put off by jump scares and have different preferences regarding game genre. I haven't played the latest title, Security Breach, but I'm aware it definitely changes up the gameplay and mechanics. I can only hope, whoever develops for future FNAF games, that they may reconsider the idea of doing a spin off. I truly believe that FNAF World could have been an amazing game, but unfortunately, the developer dropped the ball, and rather than stand by it, they just left it behind. So I definitely recommend checking out this game. It is free after all. Thanks for checking out this video, and let me know in the comments below what you think of FNAF World. Take care and goodbye.